Basically around March 2013, I was a sophomore at the University of Tennessee. Woo! Go Vols! And I began to get completely horribly sick. I felt like I was dying. So I went to the emergency room and the doctor told me that I had a headache. So I went back a second time after a week later, still being sick. He told me that I had mono. Symptoms were getting so much worse. I started fainting. I started having fevers of 103, 104. I couldn't hold anything down. And I had night sweats where I had to wring out my blankets of sweat, and I'm not even exaggerating. So I eventually went to the ER for a third time. The doctors just kept testing me for AIDS, and I was starting to get real irritated, and they test me for pregnancy like 7 times within 6 hours, and I was like, I'm not pregnant. I'm not pregnant. And then finally, I feel like the whole UT Med, every doctor on call came in my room. And I remember them saying, Miss Clausen, it's time to call your parents. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, how familiar are you with your blood counts? And I was like, I'm a kinesiology major. I mean, I know a little something. So they began to explain how blood is broken down into the white blood counts and the red blood counts and the platelets. And I remember them telling me that, Miss Clausen, your white blood count is 0.01. It's literally supposed to be 4 to 11. I remember it was like, so 0.01, what does that mean for me? And basically, 2 seconds later, I was taken down to get a bone marrow biopsy. And I was like, it's getting real. Like, they're putting a needle in this big into my back, above my iliac crest. And he was like, left or right, ha ha ha, do you have a good butt cheek? And I was like, no, this isn't funny. Like, just put it in my back. I'm admitted to UT Med, and I am now on the cancer unit. And first of all, that was really scary to me because we don't know what's going on. And I was sitting in the cancer unit. So I had my bone marrow biopsy done, and from that biopsy, Dr. Timothy Pennell at UT Medical Center, he found a little histiocyte in my, my marrow sample. And he determined that he thinks that I have hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis. However, he began to say he's never seen it. He humbled himself to say that it was time to go to Vandy. It was time to go to somebody that knows what hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis is. And I thank him for that because not every doctor is willing to say that he does not know and he needs to go to a specialist. So I thank him so much for that because without that, I could have died. After that moment, I was sent to Vanderbilt via ambulance, and that literally was the worst ride of my life. And when I tell you that if there was a moment that I wanted to give up, it was in the ambulance. In the ambulance, the only thing they did not have was a thermometer, and I was running 105 temperatures. I was running 107, 106, and this is not an exaggeration. At one point, they were going to stop at a gas station and put ice on me, but they thought that they just hit 100 all the way to Nashville to hopefully make it in time. So I arrived at Vanderbilt, and I remember all the tests being done, and I really was sweating and feeling hot, and I remember all of a sudden my heart started hurting. And I looked to my mom and I said, Mom, my heart hurts. Like, Mama, my heart hurts. And I remember the monitor started going off. And I remember my heart rate started going up to like 210, 230, 240, 50. And then my blood pressure dropped real low. And all of a sudden I remember thousands of doctors around me again. I mean, literally every angle. I remember my parents were in the corner crying, doctors everywhere, and they're like, Makayla, can you hear me? Makayla, wake up. Makayla, are you there? Wake up. Hello, Makayla, are you there? And I was like, couldn't move, but I was there. I heard everything that they said. I heard everything that they said they were gonna do. And I was like, I'm here. Like, I'm inside of my chest. Like, I'm here. I'm listening to you. I just can't say anything. So, then, this is when it gets blurry because I was moved to the ICU and I was intubated, and I also died on the table 4 times. So they did the little shocky thingy. Sorry, don't have medical terms, but they, I guess, defibrillated me 4 times. All I can remember is that this woman with beautiful hair was like, do you have 5 cc? Do you have 10 cc of this? And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on, but she is really taking control of this situation. I remember that a doctor slapped me. He literally slapped me. He's like, Makayla, I need you to breathe on this part, because he put the central line in my neck, and the little bubble, I guess, you had to breathe at a certain part to make a blood clot. So he like literally slapped me and was like, it's time to wake up. We got to put a blood clot in. I don't know anything about that part. So literally in ICU, I'm intubated. Don't know much about what's going on right now because I'm literally lifeless in my head. It was very calm, black. Couldn't tell you anything what was going on up here or with my body. Woke up about a week later and I was told that I was intubated and that I had to start chemo because the results came back and I did have secondary hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis. Dr. Amanda, who is fabulous, told me that we're going to have to start you on chemo and you're going to lose your hair. I just remember saying, hair, I'm alive, hair, I'm alive. I'm going to choose this one. And literally that's what I did, and everybody still makes fun of me to this day because I said that. I was eventually moved to 10T3 because I eventually got better. And I was learning my routine good enough, and I was walking. Physical therapy was going great. I could do everything on my own again. I was still very weak, but I was getting to the point where I was getting enough to go home. So Vanderbilt discharged me. And I remember that they had a fundraiser for me, and that night I did not feel good. And literally, you know your body. Everybody knows their body. And I told my parents it's a relapse. So I went into Vanderbilt, and the test confirmed that I relapsed. Well, technically I was never in remission because the steroids were suppressing what was going on. I officially found out I had secondary hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis on April 15th. Tax day, yay! I get a diagnosis for my tax refund. And then I was told in July that the chemo and steroid, no, I was told in June that the chemo and steroids weren't working and that they're gonna have to do a stem cell transplant. So I went to Baylor University. I got there okay. I had Cincinnati's approval. I had UT Med's approval. I had Vanderbilt's approval. And everyone on that panel decided that a stem cell transplant was the best way to go. My brother got tested, and he was a 7 out of 10. They looked on the registry, and I had 2 perfect matches for a marrow transplant. Unfortunately, one lady, she has had a child, and I was not able to have her stem cells because when you have a child, you develop an antibody that I did not have because I've never had children. And the second one said yes. And today is actually her birthday, so happy birthday. Today is February 23rd, 2016, and I just want to say happy birthday, Claudia. Thank you so much for saving my life. And she actually donated her stem cells from Germany, and they shipped them over in a helicopter. I received them in the ICU because I had many complications again. I got my stem cell August 23rd, 2013, and I stayed about 60 days after my stem cell in 10T3, which is the stem cell transplant unit. And usually people get to go home, or at least they get to go home when they're grabbed. And I was still in the hospital, and I was getting so anxious to get out. I literally tried to escape 3 times, but I always got caught. So you nurses on 10T3, y'all are good. y'all are great. And had to continue in isolation for another 40 days. So you were in isolation for a total of 100 days after your stem cell transplant. So then I had to do long-term stem cell clinic. I remember my doctor coming in and saying, "You want to go to summer school?" And I was like, "School?" He's like, "Yeah, you want to go to summer school? I'm sure you have to apply soon, right?" And I was like, "Yes, I do want to go back to school." And he said, "Well, you should apply because your numbers are good enough to go back to the University of Tennessee." And I was just kind of in awe, like, this was just sprung upon me. Like, he knew this was a goal of mine, but I just didn't think it was happening this quick. So I went back to school summer 2014, and I am currently a senior at the University of Tennessee, and I will be graduating May 14th. This is my blog, and I hope you really enjoy it, and I hope that you see my vision and that you support me and you share this, that you hit my comments section with questions and statements. And I really want to do this for a while, and I want you guys to ask me questions, personal questions, and if you don't feel comfortable going in my comments, my email is attached to this video, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for watching Peace with Cancer.